Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rashbi, Rabbi Shmuel Ben Yehoshua, Rashbi, Rabbi Stephen Epstein. And it's still liking that name and hope you enjoy it too. Kind of a little lighthearted, but still it is what it is. Okay, so I hope you're doing well. I want to thank everybody that's coming to synagogue, and our place is growing, and it's all because of you. We have some wonderful Torah discussions. The Miller course is starting to come to a close, and the input is wonderful. I am just so proud of all of you for what you're doing, the way you have been coming in and giving to the synagogue. There's that old saying, or not too old, but kind of old, it takes a village, and it really kind of does. My goal is to really make Temple Shalom of Ontario something very special, and you're all being a part of that. Be very proud of yourself. Conservative Judaism has gone through kind of an interesting journey over the last, let's say, 60 years. Back in the 60s, when I was growing up and I was going to synagogue, probably 2/3 of Jews, at least on Long Island, were conservative Jews. We felt it was kind of like, the Goldilocks movement. The Orthodox was very traditional, maybe a little too strict. Reform, just kind of cultural Jews, not really as much. But conservative was just right. We were able to meld the tradition with the progressiveness of accepting what's new, what's out there. For example, being able to drive on Shabbat only if you're coming to synagogue to make a minyan. Okay. The discussion whether turning the key to a car is really lighting the modern equivalent of lighting a fire. Big discussion. I don't know that our patriarchs and matriarchs and Moses and everybody really thought ahead about what technology was going to be like. Back then, what was technology? It was the wheel and fire. That was it, right? You bring a priest from the ancient temple to today and you show them what we're doing, and they might not even recognize what they consider to be Judaism, right? But nevertheless, there it is. On the other hand, there are some principles in the Torah that are timeless. We talked about in Kedoshim how there was a lot of issues about social justice, treating people right. The last portion, Behar, and more rather, talking about the priest and the duties and how a priest needs to present himself to the congregation when they're officiating. It talked about the run through of the year with the various holidays and festivals where we come to meet Hashem. Very important, because this is what grounds us to Hashem. This is what connects the material to the spiritual. And in that vein, this next portion, and we're coming to a close of the book of Leviticus, is Behar, on the Mount. Here, okay, we've talked about Shabbat. We've talked about the fact that there are times during the year when you need to take a rest from your worldly pursuits. And this is to block out the stimulus, to take a break from your work so you can focus on the spiritual. Shabbat, right? Every 7 days you get to rest. And back then, they really didn't have services the way we have it today. I mean, they had certain times when they would go to the temple to either do a burnt offering, connect with Hashem, a Thanksgiving offering, when God provided them through or helped them through a very challenging or life-threatening situation. We had the sin offering and the error offering, right? Today we have our modern worshiping, our modern expression of Judaism, which is, revolves around a individual synagogue and prayers. Not that you need to be in the synagogue to pray, but it's nice to come and make a minyan, right? So we've had rests during the seventh day. We've had our cavalcade, if you will, of holidays, the beginning of the year, secular year, Passover. 50 days later, we had Shavuot. And then we have the 7th month of Tishrei. Tishrei is loaded with various holidays, various times when we meet with God. First couple of days, we have Rosh Hashanah, head of the year. It's the spiritual year when we actually change the year. 10 days later, while we're taking stock of ourselves, we have Yom Kippur, where we fast and we afflict ourselves so we can really take stock of, any sins that we might have committed and commit to do better next year. 5 days later, middle of the month, full moon up there, we have Sukkot, the Jewish Thanksgiving, and the autumn harvest, when we remember that our ancestors lived in huts, right? And the 7th month is kind of like a month of rest, isn't it? Because we've got so many holidays in there, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, we've got Yom Kippur, we've got the 2 days of Sukkot, that's 5, Shemini Atzerot, that's 6, right? 6 days, aside from the regular Shabbat, unless, of course, they coincide. So that's a lot, that's almost a week and a half where you're not doing anything, where you're resting and connecting to your spirituality. Today, of course, we use those opportunities to study Torah and to come together and make a minyan and, observe. Not only do we get that time off, and that's us, Israel, but also the stranger that resides with us, our manservants and our beasts. So you think, wow, that's pretty complete. Not so. What about the land? Does the land not work? Does the land not give us its bounty? Well, today we refer to it as Mother Nature. And does the land not deserve some time off from working in order to revive itself, to take that rest and be able to replenish its assets, which it gives us through the food that we farm? So every 7th year is the Shemitah year, when the produce gets to lie fallow, whatever the land produces, and it tends to produce anyway. You go over, you take some food, you allow the poor and whoever else is needy to come and partake as well. And this is our opportunity. This is where the idea of a sabbatical year comes in, where we get to study Torah. It's also a time when indentured servants, people that are working off a debt, people that have had a run of bad luck or bad management, and they're working for somebody and they're trying to get back on their feet. This is where all debts are forgiven, right? You loan money, but you don't charge interest because it's charity. It's helping somebody out. And in return, you're getting a worker. 7 times 7 years. The 50th year is the Jubilee, and it comes from the word Yovel, which means ram's horn, because that's the ram's horn is blown. And on the 10th day of the month, yes, Yom Kippur, is when anybody who might have given up their ancestral land, when Israel settled the land and everybody gets a piece of land to work, and maybe, again, it didn't work out for whatever reason, this is your second chance. Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur is the perfect time to do this because Yom Kippur is our yearly second chance. You might have had a run of whatever for that year, and now it's your time to take stock and say, well, I think I can do better. Not I think I can do better, I'm going to commit. That's what Yom Kippur is all about, committing to do better, right? And you get that second chance. Well, the land gets to lay fallow too, and after 50 years, people get their land back. Any slave that might have said, no, I love my master, they bore a hole through the ear, and you're now connected to you go free too, whether you want to or not, you're free. That's it. Because we are all indebted to Hashem. So you don't work for a human master, you work for the divine master, which is God. And that's kind of how it works out. So kind of there it is. Social justice. And that's the important thing. So other than that, like I said, we are coming toward the end of our of Leviticus. And it's kind of an interesting discussion about when the Torah was written. Was the Torah timely and now it's archaic? And I'm going to repeat what I said about the last week's portion. Perhaps the activities are not applicable, but the nature of them the essence is, and it always will be. Because when we talk about the land getting a rest, we have to replenish what we take, our supplies. We have an intimate relationship with the land. Now, has said that it's God created it, it's God's land. We're just leasing it from Hashem. So we have to take care of it. It's in our care. So we have kind of a responsibility. And in that responsibility, we work hand in hand. We don't abuse our resources. We want to make sure that we use them correctly, right? The beginnings of earthly, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much for listening. We look forward to seeing you in temple, and synagogue, and thank you to everybody that brings their kids here for our in-person learning. I think the kids have enjoyed it, and we're going to continue doing that. So Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you soon.